Okay, to the investment pros, Dee Banky, Republican strategist and former aide to President George W. Bush, Hillary Kramer, president and CIO of A&G Capital. James Frischling is back to help us out with this, president of New Old Capital. Hita Prabhakar wearing red, the appropriate color of the day, and Matt McCall. Okay, guys, all right, Jim, what's going to turn this around?
Well, right now, I think the slow growth story is what's bothering people, and actually, and it's specifically in Europe, and it's getting a little worse. So that has to finish up.
I think you're being kind. The slow growth. How about the no growth? How about the negative growth? We should let the audience know. Around 3 o'clock, S&P lowered their outlook for France to negative. Right? I mean, what was the negative?
That's what I thought about. France to negative. Italian GDP going to be negative. Lagarde, IMF in chief, saying there's a 1 in 3 chance Europe goes back into a recession. That is a building story about slow to no growth in Europe, and I think that's what's concerning people right now.
All right, on that, I always pray that they give us one of those good fake numbers, don't we, Jim?
You know, in talking about Ebola, I think we have an example in SARS from 2003, how to price this in, and with no deaths on U.S. soil, it cost $7 billion, the SARS, and it cost East Asia $20 billion. We can actually price Ebola. I don't think that's the concern. I will say earnings are going to surprise people to the upside. So
yes.
We're dealing with Europe, we're dealing with China, but watch the
earnings
U.S.
will be our savior.
Yes.
James, you talked about Europe slowing down. Mm-hmm. The deflation word is being used in Europe, and it's starting to be used in America, too.
And I think it's a real risk, and it's a real concern. Look, you talked about oil. It's experiencing the perfect storm. We talked about Europe, China. I will add U.S. production being at an all-time high thanks to shale, and OPEC at a 2-year high, and the Saudis are not going to let up on the production side. Commodity pricing is not what it costs to extract from the land. It's about affordability. And right now, affordability is where I'm concerned about disinflation.
That's why people think, well, you know what, maybe this new script is in place, and this is the place. A lot of our viewers, Jim, are interested in gold. To Dee Dee's point, they're anxious about this economy, they're anxious about this world, they're anxious about losing the Constitution, and they want something that has a historic value, and they think it's gold. What do you think?
You know, on the bond side, I believe there's some angst and pessimism that's keeping people in bonds, but I'm very much in Matt's camp. In at least midterm, there is a higher rate coming. There are going to be higher yields coming, and when you're kind of sure of that, as I am, you can't be putting money in gold right now in the face of higher yielding assets elsewhere.
And you sell bonds as well?
I would be selling bonds. I understand why it's slow. To Dee Dee's point, there is some pessimism, but I do think it's time to be moving out of bonds and again, taking on some more risk.
All right, Jim, you liked Google when we had the robotics conversation. What about it?
Yeah, I mean, it is clearly a core technology holding. I mean, my overwhelming thesis on Google is 60% of the global population isn't even on the internet, and Google is doing things, has projects to bring them in. On the robotics side, they buy innovation, they create innovation, they got a lot of cash. I say stick with those guys.
40% on the internet, 60% fighting Ebola. Heath?
I mean, you can pay as many people as you want to stop having sex. The bottom line is if there's not education, people don't know what to do or how to prevent a disease, it's going to continue to spread.
How about the bottom line? It's not going to work.
Look, I'm agreeing with the education call, but look, we don't walk a mile in their shoes. Okay, our country, we make people wear seatbelts. Our country, we're going to ban smoking actually in Central Park. We've done that. So we actually dictate certain behaviors for the benefit of our health system. So I'm not endorsing what he's saying, just saying I don't spend any time over there, so I don't know what's going on.
What?
In a direct response to these young girls being offered money to have sex, unprotected sex. So I can't believe I'm not arguing. I don't want to argue in favor of this, but I understand at least there's logic to combat the number of young girls who are taking money for sex or saying, here, take money not to have sex.
Girls.
Jim?
You know, Reuters are reporting that he is still in control, and then the issue is the ankle, as you pointed out. The Polish report, to Matt's point, military drills, crawling around, training that all the, I guess, the executives had to deal with. That what I'm hearing is gout.
Yeah, I heard that too.
I hear gout.
My gosh. No, look.
They're going to say, listen, people, you can't, this society is designed so people who do work hard, they don't get anywhere. Wages haven't moved. People who are committed, people who do get educations, they're in debt. They can't buy a house. That everything we're talking about, maybe it worked once before, but at this very moment, the system is broken.
I definitely do not think the system is broken. It has its challenges, and one of them is education. But I actually liked on the list how 53% of people attributed that to luck. And actually, I define luck as when hard work meets opportunity. And again, that is going to school. That is working hard. And look, I was very fortunate not only to get a good education, but came out of school without the student loan debt. So I also have to recognize that I was very fortunate to be in that situation, which many people are not. Right. But again, it is hard work, education, and then get lucky when the two meet.
All right, guys, or wear the right boots. I tell you what. There are certain stocks, guys, and again, when I put out the market, the stocks, I always say, should you buy short-term, long-term, and I talk about volatility. On the volatility, I'm also going to talk about beta. You have to understand some of these names. A lot of those names I actually traded. If you buy a stock and you're up 25% in a month, it's not that it's not going to go higher, but such a spike means it's going to pull down. You could buy it, take profits, and buy it back on weakness, but you got to know who you are with these things, Jim.
No, I agree with your points. And to the names you put up on the board, I thought JA is undervalued right now. It's the leader in the space, and I think I do like buying the leader. And on the Silicon Motion, I thought they're going to do better. They got Apple, they got Samsung competing for their business, and I think they're in very good shape.
We
so
have
I do
two.